The North Atlantic, December 1900. A relentless, churning expanse of grey, where the wind howls a ceaseless lament and the waves crash with the force of forgotten gods. Far out, west of the Outer Hebrides of Scotland, lies a desolate archipelago known as the Flannan Isles, exposed, unforgiving, a scattering of rock and spray, and on the highest point of the largest isle, Island Moor, stood a lighthouse, a beacon of hope for passing ships, a lonely fortress against the indifferent might of the sea. It was a magnificent structure, 75 feet tall, built of granite, its light visible for over 20 miles, manned by a crew of 3 men, rotating shifts of 6 weeks on, 2 weeks off. Their lives were a monastic rhythm of tending the lamp, charting the weather, and maintaining the solitude. Principal keeper James Ducat, a seasoned veteran, assistant keeper Thomas Marshall, and occasional keeper Donald MacArthur, a man with a reputation for a short temper, brought in to replace an injured crewman. 3 men, alone on a rock, doing their duty. On December 15, 1900, the steamer Archimedes passed the Flannan Isles. Her captain noted in his log that the lighthouse was dark, an anomaly, certainly, a potential failure of duty, but the weather was fierce, the seas treacherous, perhaps a momentary fault. The Archimedes continued its journey, its captain noting the oddity, but unaware of the profound silence that had already settled over Island Moor. Nearly 2 weeks later, on December 26th, the relief vessel, Hesperus, finally managed to approach the Flannan Isles. Foul weather had delayed its journey from Oban, but now, under a clearing sky, the crew scanned the familiar silhouette of Island Moor. Joseph Moore, one of the relief keepers, stood on deck, ready to replace Donald MacArthur. He watched, expecting the usual signals, the hoisting of the supply crane, the greetings from the keepers, but nothing. The lighthouse flagstaff was bare, no flag, no sign of life. A strange stillness hung in the air, a sense of unnatural quiet. Captain Jim Harvey of the Hesperus blew the ship's whistle, a long, piercing blast that echoed across the water and bounced off the stark cliffs. He blew it again and again. The sound dissipated into the vast emptiness, swallowed by the cold December air, returning only silence, an unsettling silence. Moore, along with a small landing party, took a boat towards the western landing, the only viable spot in the calmer conditions. As they approached the shore, the feeling of unease intensified. The air was heavy, charged with an unspoken question. This was not normal. This was not right. The lighthouse, a towering sentinel, stood silent, defiant, and utterly deserted. The crew rowed through the swirling mist and choppy water, each stroke bringing them closer to a mystery they could not yet fathom. The only sound now was the grinding of their boat against the barnacled rock and the distant, mournful cry of gulls. Joseph Moore stepped onto the landing, a chill far deeper than the December air settling into his bones. He began the arduous climb towards the lighthouse. Every step felt heavy, burdened by growing dread. The gate was closed, but unlocked. He pushed it open, into an empty courtyard. The main door to the tower was also unlocked. Moore pushed it inward, revealing a dark, cold interior. He began to call names. Ducat, Marshall, MacArthur. His voice swallowed, returning only a hollow echo. He ascended the spiral staircase, his boots clanking, the sound amplified in the profound stillness. Each turn revealed nothing but empty space. He reached the lamp room. The lamp was clean, polished, ready. A testament to diligent work, but a stark reminder of their absence. Descending to the living quarters, Moore found a scene that solidified the terrifying reality. The kitchen table was set for a meal, plates, cutlery, a half-eaten bird, a sudden, unfinished interruption. An overturned chair lay on the floor. 2 of the 3 oilskin coats were gone from their hooks. Principal keeper Ducat's remained. The last entry in the logbook was December 15th. It spoke of a severe gale. The previous entries detailed increasingly violent weather, with Ducat noting, "Storm ended, sea calm. God is over all." But the Hesperus crew had reported no such gale ending on the 15th. The storm had continued. And now, 7 days later, the lighthouse was empty. The silence was not just the absence of sound, it was a presence, a heavy, suffocating blanket, whispering of something deeply, irrevocably wrong. The landing party, now joined by Captain Harvey, conducted a more thorough search. What they found only deepened the chilling enigma. All the clocks inside the lighthouse had stopped. Not just one, but every single timepiece, frozen in time, their hands pointing to an unknown hour. The provisions for the keepers were untouched, enough to last them weeks. There were no signs of a struggle, no blood, no forced entry. Everything was eerily orderly, yet profoundly wrong. Outside, the western landing, where the men would normally unload supplies, showed signs of recent, violent damage. Iron railings were bent. A sturdy stone box containing a mooring rope was smashed open, its contents scattered. But the eastern landing, which was more sheltered from the prevailing weather, was completely undisturbed. This detail was crucial and perplexing. For 3 men to be caught in a sudden, violent event on the western landing, they would have had to be there. Why? The official investigation was led by Robert Muirhead, the superintendent of lighthouses, who arrived on December 29th. He was a man of logic, accustomed to maritime mysteries, but even he was unnerved by the scene. He meticulously examined every detail, interviewed the Hesperus crew, and searched the island for any trace of the men. No bodies were ever found, either on the island or washed ashore on nearby coasts. It was as if Ducat, Marshall, and MacArthur had simply ceased to exist. Their personal effects remained in their bunks, their lives abruptly suspended, as if they had merely stepped out for a moment, never to return. The sea churned on, indifferent. The disappearance became one of maritime history's most enduring mysteries. Muirhead's official report concluded the men were likely swept away by a rogue wave. His theory: 2 men secured equipment on the western landing during a severe storm. Ducat, the principal keeper, then went to assist, all 3 overwhelmed by an exceptionally large wave. This would explain the missing oilskins and the damage. But this left questions. Why would an experienced principal keeper like Ducat leave his post during a storm? Why would all 3 men be on the exposed western landing at once, especially with the logbook indicating the storm had ended? What of the overturned chair, the untouched meal, the stopped clocks? These suggested a sudden internal event, not a natural disaster. Other theories emerged. A violent quarrel, a mutiny perhaps, among the keepers. Donald MacArthur had a temper. Could he have attacked the others, then fled, or fallen victim himself? No signs of struggle, no blood. The isolation, some claimed, could drive men to madness. A shared delusion, a collective leap. Or the more ethereal, a spectral ship, a giant sea monster, abduction, or even the dreaded blue men of the Minch. But these, while captivating, offered no tangible proof. 3 men vanished, as if the island itself had swallowed them whole. The Flannan Isles lighthouse continued its vigil, new keepers forever shadowed by the memory of Ducat, Marshall, and MacArthur. The fundamental question remained: how could 3 experienced men simply vanish? No bodies, no definitive answers, only the desolate island and the churning sea keeping their secrets. Whatever transpired on Island Moor, it happened swiftly, leaving no witnesses. The sea keeps its secrets, deeper than any grave.